Hey guys, it's Hamza, and in today's video we're going to talk about 5 mistakes people make when buying investment property. My name is Hamza and I manage around 1,000 rental units here in Houston, Texas. So you can only imagine the things I've seen. So in today's video, from experience, I'm going to talk about the 5 mistakes people make when investing in rental properties. And these mistakes could potentially cost you guys thousands of dollars. So why lose $1,000 when you can easily watch this YouTube video and learn from it? Now, before we get into the video, all I ask is that you hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And with that, let's get back into the video. The first mistake people make is calculating rental income. I've seen it time and time again when people will invest in their first rental property and will think that rent income minus mortgage expense is cash flow. So for example, the property is renting for $1,450 a month and the mortgage on it is $1,100. That means the property is going to be cash flowing $350. Although that is part of the expense and partially correct, there are a few things you need to consider. The mortgage payment is a large portion of your expenses, but it is not all of it. The first thing you need to consider is vacancy. So you have to realize that when you buy a rental home, it is not going to be leased 100% of the time. There is going to be some downtime, whether that is moving the tenant in or in between two tenants, or even in some cases, evictions. That's right, if you have to evict a tenant, there is going to be some downtime at your property. It's important that you adjust your downtime and then calculate your income based off of that number. For me personally, I calculate that as 6% of the annual cash flow. That means whatever your annual income is for that property for that year, just minus 6%, and that will be your vacancy rate. Another very important thing you need to factor in is CAPEX. CAPEX also means capital expenditure, and let me give you guys an example of what that exactly means. Let's say, for example, you know that the roof of your property is only going to be good for another 10 years, and replacing that roof is going to cost you $5,000. What you need to do is take $5,000 and divide it by 120 months, which is 10 years, and then put that portion of the proceeds in a budget for CAPEX. You need to calculate that dollar amount as a monthly expense as well. So when it's time to replace that roof, you have that money accounted for. Another very important factor to consider is just general maintenance. When you own rental properties, chances are things are going to break, things are going to go wrong. You need to put aside a little bit of money to be able to fix things quickly, therefore keeping your cash flow in. And what I mean by that is, if you have things breaking down and you're unable to fix them, chances are your tenant is going to leave the property. This, in my mind, is one of the biggest mistakes I see new landlords making. The second mistake I see people making all the time is going cheap on the renovation. Now, in my mind, cheap and renovation just don't go together. Why? Because the materials that you're going to use in a cheap renovation are just not durable enough. So if you're going to renovate a property, you want to use granite or quartz countertops, because those things will last a very long time and are very durable. Chances are, even when your tenant moves out, you're still going to be able to use the same countertops. Same thing goes for flooring. So typically what I like to do is I like to use some heavy duty, inexpensive flooring all throughout my units, and I try to avoid carpet as much as possible, because chances are if you're using carpet and you have a move out, you're gonna replace that carpet. Sometimes you can get away with a thorough clean, but most of the times that carpet needs to get replaced, especially if you've had pets in the property. The third mistake I see people make when they're starting off in investing is they self-manage. Now, I don't know about you guys, but here in Houston, Texas, where I'm from, managing a property can cost anywhere from 6 to 8%, which comes out to about $100 a month. Now, for me personally, I would pay a property management $100 a month. And that's because I want to go and do other things. I want to go and find better deals. I want to go and close on more properties. I want to start learning about investing more. And being able to close more deals is really worth my time. So I'd rather hire a property management company to manage my property for me. Now, you have to be very careful here because you do need to hire a very reputable and credible property management company or individual. I personally prefer to work with companies because I feel like they have more resources than a single person would. But point being, when you get to 1,000 rental properties, you can't self-manage them. So I actually have many property management companies that I work with that manage my deals in different parts of the country. And that frees up my time to go and look for more deals. And hopefully the property management company is bringing in more rent than I could and more qualified tenants than I could, because they have much more complex processes and systems in place. The fourth mistake that I see happen all the time is that people don't vet the tenants correctly. People, you guys need to learn to vet your tenants correctly. Just because you're getting $50 more in rent does not make it worth it in some cases. For me personally, I'd rather take a $50 discount but have a credible tenant in my property. Not only does this give me peace of mind, chances are when these tenants move out, they will leave the property in excellent condition. And that means I'll just have to do minor touch-ups to get it ready for the next tenant. And for me personally, because I'm in this for the long run, I prefer that method, and I always vet my tenants, and I only rent to qualified tenants. The fifth and final mistake I see people making is that they get emotional with their property. This could mean a few things. First, that they're charging crazy high rents because they think their property is special and not comparable to every other property around them. And this usually happens when somebody over-rehabs a deal. That means they put too much money in it, they upgraded it way more than it was supposed to be for that neighborhood, and now they want to charge more rent. This is something in my mind that is a big no-no. You always want to do just enough rehab so that your property stays comparable to everything else around it, and maybe is a tad bit better so that you can get that $100 to $150 in rent more. The other thing I've seen emotional landlords do is they will constantly drive by the property. Just because they're emotionally attached, they'll start snooping around at the tenants, send them letters that, hey, we saw you in the lawn doing this, doing that. You guys need to realize that the tenant has the right to quiet. And what that means is, if there are no complaints from the neighbors, if there's no reports, you guys need to leave those tenants alone. So once again, to quickly recap the 5 mistakes, the first one is to calculate income versus expense correctly. Second, don't be cheap on your renovations. Buy good materials that will last you a long time. Third, try not to self-manage your properties unless you are a professional property manager and you really know what you're doing. Fourth, vet and screen and qualify all your tenants. And the fifth mistake is getting emotionally attached. Try not to get emotionally attached to the property. And if you guys are still hanging around and you guys are enjoying my content, please remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and smash the notification bell so that you guys are notified the next time I post some content. That's it for me. I'm Hamza. I'll see you guys next video.